Hello, and welcome to the last session of the Let's Stay Informed series. Today's conversation is on recognizing the signs of financial abuse through storytelling. Hello, my name is Courtney LaBelle, and I'm a Community Development Coordinator of the Age-Friendly Portfolio with the City of Brantford. And with me today is Mary, a Prevention Consultant with Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario. So to get started, Mary, what is financial abuse? How common is it, and on what scale does it happen on?
Thank you, Courtney, and thank you for inviting me today to speak about this very important form of elder abuse, financial abuse, that is sadly happening to seniors right across Ontario, across Canada, and around the world. Financial abuse is really the improper conduct that is done with or without the informed consent of the older adult. What happens is that results in a monetary or personal gain to the abuser and or a monetary or personal loss then to the older adult. And sadly, this is the most common form of elder abuse in Ontario that is happening to our older adults.
So thanks for sharing that. What are some of the warning signs of financial abuse?
Well, sadly, Courtney, some of the warning signs begin with greed, that abusers really look at taking the money from an older adult. And sadly, these are mostly family members that are targeting their loved ones, their parents or grandparents. There's components such as that false sense of entitlement, where abusers think they have the right to an older person's money and their property and their belongings. They believe there's this opportunity to take over their parents' money, property, finances, and they use this as the reasons that they are defrauding seniors and causing financial abuse. Some of the warning signs seniors need to look out for, of course, is understanding if they are seeing any type of fraudulent documents being signed by abusers that they did not authorize, such as their checks or their powers of attorneys. If there's any unpaid bills, meaning they've given someone money to pay bills for them, those bills aren't being paid. Where is that money going? We see the misuse of powers of attorney for property, where seniors have chosen an attorney to represent them as their POA, and that money then gets misused and misdirected to the abuser. If a senior sees that somebody is trying to coerce them or force them into changing their will or any other financial documents simply because the abuser wants to take over all the finances in the senior's life, these are some of the warning signs seniors need to look out for that could be leading and causing financial abuse. And Courtney, if I may, I'd like to share a story with you about financial abuse that was recently brought to the media's attention to shed awareness and light on how financial abuse happens, what it looks like, and how it feels.
Yes, Mary, I would appreciate you sharing that story. It might shed some light and put the concept of financial abuse into context.
Wonderful, thank you. This is a story that CTV News highlighted a few years ago about a local resident in the Markham area. Her name was Royale. And Royale's husband passed away in 2007 and left Royale with a net worth of about $107,000. And at that time, she entrusted her son, David, to be her power of attorney. The house was becoming too much for her to manage, and so she decided to sell the home and move into a retirement home because this was really now looking at her starting another chapter in her life. Sadly, Courtney, between August of 2007 and December of 2010, her son withdrew hundreds of thousands of dollars from his mom's account. And in June 2010, the money ran out. Royale was evicted from her retirement home because she could no longer afford to pay the bills. Royale's other two children began to investigate where did all that money go. It destroyed the family. Sadly, it destroyed Royale as she had to move into a long-term care home and had to testify against her son. She passed away before this case was brought to trial, but left a video testimony saying she knew what her son did was wrong, but she still loved him. And she hoped and prayed that the siblings would be able to reconnect and rebuild again, even though what he had done to her was just such a terrible act of financial and emotional abuse to his mother. This story highlights to us that sadly, what happens when greed, opportunity, and that false sense of entitlement happens. And David admitted to taking the money. He apologized to his siblings. He apologized to his late mother, but said to the courts, I've spent the money is gone. And so this has left such a pain between the siblings, and sadly, no justice to Royale as what happened as she passed. So financial abuse, if I can always say, is not only just the act and then the loss of the monetary, but the emotional component that left this family sadly shattered.
Wow, Mary, that's an incredibly tough story to hear. But it really sheds light on how easy an instance of elder abuse and financial abuse can happen and what it looks like in real time. So thanks for sharing that story.
Thank you.
So, and kind of to wrap up in terms of some safety tips and kind of leaving on a more positive note when we're talking about financial abuse and elder abuse in general, what are some of the safety tips that you can share, and how would one go about protecting themselves from financial abuse?
Thank you. That's a great question to ask because, of course, we want to make sure people take preventative steps and measures in protecting themselves. And preventing financial abuse, of course, starts with your financial literacy, which means equip yourself with the knowledge, the skills, and confidence to protect your money. So what that means is if you're assigning a power of attorney, really take the time to know who you're entrusting and to ensure, even though they are your POA, to keep an eye on your finances. Always know what's going into your account, what's coming out of your bank account. If at any time your power of attorney is acting inappropriately and misusing your money, remove them immediately as that power of attorney. Alert the bank and stop that activity from happening. Keep an eye on your credit card statements, on your bank statements. If you've given someone your debit card to perhaps help you do some grocery shopping, ensure you know that those groceries were bought and not extra things perhaps where the debit card was used to tap for. And if that happens, no longer entrust that person to be spending your money. These are just some safety tips to ensure you're protecting yourself and your finances. To have these conversations with your family to ensure only your needs and wishes of how your money is to be spent is happening. So when you decide to set up that power of attorney, again, the person you've assigned is taking, as we say, those fiduciary duties to not misguide your money for their personal gain, because we don't want that to result in your personal loss. Seniors are incredibly savvy using online banking on their tablets, on their cell phones, on their laptops. And so they are taking more and more control, even using telephone banking, which is another great tool, so they can keep an eye. All of us need to, of course, on our money coming in and going out. These are just some of the ways we want to safeguard, because everyone deserves to be protected, and their finances and their homes they've worked so hard for all these years. And so these are just some measures we hope people can put in place, have conversations with the family to ensure their wishes and only their wishes are always being met and respected.
Definitely. And I like the piece that you mentioned that we should all be aware and we should all be watching our bank accounts and the relationships and checking in because it starts at when you're younger and you start your aging process. You need to know this throughout your whole life course. So that's wonderful safety tips and information. Well, thank you for sharing all of this information today, Mary. You've shed a new light and perspective on financial abuse and its impact on older adults across the country. So, thank you for being here today and continuing to spread awareness about this sensitive but very important topic.
My pleasure, Courtney. And that's our role with Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario. We want to continue the conversation, the education, the awareness, and make sure seniors put in place those preventative measures to safeguard themselves today and for the future. So thank you so much for this opportunity to allow us to bring this information to as many people as we hope we can reach and keep safe.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mary.
My pleasure.